we have a situation unraveling in France, and it's been nearly a year ago when these terror attacks went down inside of France, which were staged 100%, and everything else that's going on, like this invasion, it is staged. And I want to clear some things up right out the gate. And for those that want to come blasting and spewing racism and hatred, you can go ahead and unsubscribe and kick rocks. It's not tolerated around here. We use discernment to try to get down to the bottom of things and to get to the truth. And I'm sorry if some of you have been so badly damaged by the lies out there that you just can't accept the truth. This is the truth. That this is a theater. And that there are billionaires making this happen out here. And for those that missed it, I just put out a couple videos on Dabu777. One in regards to George Soros admitting to the whole world that he's dropping $500 million to back these refugees and these migrants. You might as well call them militants. Because they're not women and kids like your mainstream tried to make you believe. These are well-groomed, brand new clothes, food, cigarettes, the whole nine, young men storming into these countries by the hundreds and thousands. And this is by design. This isn't just a pure invasion here by a people that truly are running for their lives. This is orchestrated. And this is to turn people against one another and to really run the Muslims against the Christians. So you've got to see that for what it is. Hate is not the answer. I'm sorry that this is an evil world that we live in and there's wickedness all around. But the thing is this, that hate that can be churned up inside of anyone is being used. And what's happened is these so-called elites, George Soros, his minions, the guys throwing all this money, the guys with the plans, these alphabet gangs, Mossad, CIA, all the other ones involved that are creating and pushing all this on Jesuit command, which no one wants to talk about out here. All right, did I sum that up? This is deception on the people by design, okay? This isn't just Muslims coming in here. It is factions of a Muslim community that are being used, and they're honing in on the eye for an eye. You see, them knowing this, knowing that it's part of their religion, they can use that to their advantage, and that's exactly what they've done. Anyone else want to come up with some other excuse, some BS, try and tell me who's behind this and who orchestrated this whole thing, who's paying for it and everything else? Huh? Who? I know there's other men involved here, but who are you going to try to blame it on? Hillary or Obama? Some of the lower level puppets? When there's boss hog billionaires out here that are spending $500 million, and I guarantee he's already spent more than that, in getting his army into these countries. That's what it is. And they have already invaded all of your countries. And guess what? Your governments were a part of this. They sold you out. So France wants to talk about the civil war of cleansing this invasion that came through. I'm here to warn you, France, and anyone else that sees this coming. When they crack down, it's not going to be on a fake invasion that they allowed to happen. It's going to be on you. What part of the puzzle are you missing here? We just showed you who's funding it, who backed them, their motive, why they're doing it, who sent them there. They are now in these places. And the only way that they're going to try to get them out is to come through with these huge sweeps while they cause chaos in the streets, while they have no jobs, while they suck the welfare programs dry, all by design. You people better get to see who's making this happen. And until you stop that, it's going to continue. Now, this is a full operation called Operation Rances that is being put into motion here in France. That's how real this is. Okay? We had Germany warning their citizens to stockpile and get ready. Belgium, all these other countries that have been dealing with this invasion, staged invasion, preparing for something. Czech Republic, now France stating that it's going to be civil war. Well, I'm here to tell you, this isn't going to be war on a fake enemy that they knew damn well who it was and allowed them to come into the country. Same with Germany. It's why there was a stadium event in France, and right after there was basically an identical event go down in Germany. But I think it was too identical because they pulled back last minute and acted like nothing ever happened. They had a vehicle full of explosives and everything, and it just vanished. Merkel just so happened to be at the game, just like the president of France was at the soccer game, and these guys never go to games. This is how sold out this whole thing is. These governments care not. They are really pushing for order out of chaos, for chaos in the streets. And since they couldn't piss the people off enough, since they couldn't piss you off enough in your own country by stripping your privacy and your freedoms away and tapping you and this and tracking you that, since they couldn't get you up off your ass that way, this is how they plan to do it. And you have no choice but to get up off your ass and do something because their soldiers, their militants are now in your backyard. Off George Soros money. So, I want to make it clear when it comes down to this so-called Muslim invasion. Hate's not the answer. Yeah, I can guarantee you, there's peaceful people walking around out there underneath the Muslim banner. It's not protecting them or defending them. It's just a fact. Of all religions, every religion, there's peaceful people. You'd be a damn fool to think otherwise. Every single person brings their own choice. It's called free will. Okay? Every person has a choice of doing good or bad. But it doesn't help when you have the beast come through, swoop up on a bunch of young men that don't have anything, offer to give them money, clothes, guns, all the stuff they need if they just do what they say. It's an opportunity. So, of course, they feel like Superman. Who's going to stop them? The beast just came through. They're giving us free reign to cause chaos in all these countries. Who's going to stop us? What? Their military or National Guard? They're running both sides of the street. They're running both avenues of the war. Can't you see? I hope you do. Now, there was a video I put out on Dabu777 following the George Soros video in regards to what happened at the Bataclan. Now, I did not have permission to share this video footage, so you guys can come over and watch it for yourselves. He makes some valid points and important information about the Bataclan, but he goes on to say some things that I don't necessarily agree with. Now, I can't narrate everything, especially when I'm trying to have you listen from the horse's mouth the details. I expect people to use discernment, and I expect people to follow me, to know my stance. I say it all the time, repeated time and time and time again, where I sit on this. On George Soros backing this whole thing being ran on Jesuit command, on all these alphabet gangs being behind it behind the scenes. They are honing in on the weakness of this eye for eye, the hatred built in to a certain religion, and they are taking advantage of the young men in these countries, pumping them up just like they would do any other military. But they're not calling it a military. And I'm telling you, it is. It is a massive force. Just because they're not in fatigues, don't get it twisted. It's part of the illusion. And don't think it's not happening here when G4S is bringing them across the border by the busload on contract by the government, and they just gave 800 of these individuals citizenship. By mistake, right? Bullshit. This is all part of the plan. And you better pay attention to what's happening in Europe, America, because this is what they're going to have happen here, just in a little bit different fashion. You don't have to see these images of droves coming across the border when they're just sitting here right now, sucking up the welfare, not even having to report to court for being here illegally, and some of them just getting told, hey, Now you're a citizen. Just make sure you vote for us and go along with the game plan. Until they're released. And you see what's happening all of a sudden, this ramping up of staged events here in America? And what is it always? Every single time it's radicalized this, or a guy that had a connection with this. It's always feeding into the Muslim thing. Okay? I'm here to tell you that the true orchestrators of this whole thing are using these Muslim cats just like they'll use any other man in any other country for any other war. It's what they're doing. And these men aren't Muslim. These men believe in an entity that gives them power, that gives them the technology and the seat that they sit in. And this entity is what they call king, the king of all the angels and demons that is here, Beelzebub. He is the one in this Luciferian light that they worship. Behind the scenes. They can tell you they're Jewish, they're Buddhist, they're atheist, they're Christian, they're Muslim, they're none of it. They believe in this entity and his minions, and it has been written in every religion, in every text, time and time again. You know, one thing that blows me away here is if you actually do your research, you don't want to be someone that's in the closet on everything, like completely closed into everything that's going on. You're wondering why Jews think a certain way or Muslims think a certain way. Why don't you study into what they're thinking, to what they're being taught? Doesn't mean that you have to accept it, but a wise man would take in all the information and use discernment. Then you'll know their train of thinking. You'll know what they're being taught. You'll know how they feel. You'll see where it's all coming from. And you'll also pick up on some hidden gems that are out there that they don't never want you to know. Did you know that in the Muslim belief, and this is serious, did you know that the Antichrist that they call the Dajjal, that will not allow to be allowed to enter the city of Mecca, did you know that in their own manuscripts they state that the individual that will come and destroy the Dajjal, the Antichrist, is none other than the Son of Mary, Jesus, Yeshua, not Muhammad. You got that? So maybe someone should be telling these cats on the ground, you need to go back and reread your literature, or they're only brainwashing you with the eye for eye hateful crap. Isn't it just a coincidence, huh? That this whole religion, regardless of how they hail Muhammad or any other prophet, that the one individual out of their own text that comes down to destroy the Dajjal at the gates of blood 13 miles east of the main city is the Son of Mary. I guess none of these cats were taught that or care about that. Or maybe they know. And maybe they are fighting against Christ in the end. But why would they do that? They would know that they are fighting pure evil. They are fighting for the Dajjal. Seems like they don't know that. You know what it seems like to me? Seems like every other time when all these fake protests kicked up, I'd go to a city, and even though it was Black Lives Matter marching their BS, and we knew it was backed by George Soros, people still, that never seen a protest before, were attracted to it. People that want to change were attracted to it. That's the deadly part about it. You see? And when you have a youth in a city that is just sitting there, waiting for someone to come along to give them an idea, something to do, and then start stuffing their pockets full of money, they're going to do anything. It's exactly what Soros has done. They have gathered these guys from these countries that they've gone in and bombed the hell out of and decimated their governments. Any government that really stood for their people, they'll make you think that they were terrorists and bad guys, and they'll kill them in the streets just like they did Gaddafi. What else needs to be said? What part of the picture do you guys not see here? I just explained to you who's doing this, who's funding this, who's pushing this, how all the governments have sold out and bowed down to this, what they are worshiping along the way. But yet no one takes this message to the streets. No one out there in any of these podiums are blasting this truth. And this is the truth that truly saves lives in the end. Because it's the truth. This is deception. These guys are being used just like any other group of young individuals anywhere. They roll up on a huge group of guys in Africa, give them a bunch of gear and military supplies that came from where? France. Oh, we'll name them Boko Haram. They're just another offshoot of these other groups that we're creating. You're starting to see? So what happens next? We're on the cusp of what happens next. What happens next is them switching this whole thing over, as they're doing, I believe, here in the United States right now. Did you notice when they bombed, immediately when it was bombed in NYC, they kept wanting to say that it wasn't connected. They kept wanting to say that it's not an international act of terrorism. Oh, but it's terrorism. There's no beating around the bush about that. It was terrorism. But it's not international. So it only leaves one thing. Domestic. And that is what this whole thing is geared toward. Coming after you and me. All the rest of it is a front. They could never get an army into all these countries to cause the chaos that they're doing in military fatigues without all kinds of hell breaking loose. Send them in and plain clothes backed by George Soros and his money. They just let it all go down. No one stands up to defend the country. If they were in tanks and fatigues, they would have been met by an army at the border, but instead they walked right on through. So yes, they are using the Muslims. But should you hate every Muslim? No. Should you hate every person from another religion out there? No. Yeshua was right when he stated that love is the key. It truly is. And I learned this many different ways in life through lessons, but there's one key thing that I do know. We all know that this world is like hell. It's full of evil, all these bad things, carnage, death, murder. Everyone's screaming, "Where you at, God?" To me, this is a testing ground. A testing ground to where you're given free will and you're given a choice. And you can make all the excuses that you want. You can turn and you can talk to whoever you want. You can lie to whoever you want. You can try to convince yourself whatever you want. When you make a choice, you know in your heart right from wrong, and you carry that with you your life. That is embedded in your soul, and that is all that really needs to be weighed in the end. The choices that you made. Throw the energy on the scales. If it tips to the bad, what good were you? If it tips to the good, you're coming with me. And how are you ever going to find that out if you don't give life free will? If you can't seed all of these bodies with the Spirit and free will to make that choice freely. If we can create all this life, well, we want ones that are going to do the right thing. Well, how do we know this? Give them the choice. Let them choose themselves. And you have to have something evil here to test you and to put you through all this to make it truly a test, or you'd already be in the paradise. So to me, the one key here, and Jesus was right, it's love. For an entity here that is being worshipped by all these individuals, that has all this power, all this grotesque nature to it, don't you think that this entity knows that he's stuck here forever? Until what? The same reason me and you would be stuck here forever. Until you learn to love. And I know it's hard in a world full of hate and anger. And everyone has human emotion. But truly, it was about love. Because the most evil entity on this planet would have to know that it's not complete. You can fake like you're complete. You can fake like you're the Most High God. But you can never be the Most High God with everything. And I mean everything. Unless you have love too. True love. And that makes you boil, don't it, Satan? Because you know I'm right. It is the one thing that can set anyone free. And it would be the biggest transformation that this planet's ever seen. Especially with all the evil. Yeshua comes down with the sword and goes to war with this entity. You tell me this. And cast this entity into the lake of fire. What good is it to throw something into a lake of fire where that's where it comes from? How are you going to defeat it? It can never be truly defeated unless it is transformed. And the best way to get to it is from within. From within. And it has to know. It has got to know that it ain't going nowhere. We can elevate up off this rock, one at a time, as we all elevate our consciousness and see what's really happening here. He ain't going nowhere because he refuses to love. True love. This is why Yeshua said, love your enemies. Pray for them. We are truly all in this together, guys. Our power is in our numbers. Power is in us. Not fighting one another. I know it's easier said than done. But don't forget it. This is where it sits. As they plan for civil war here in these countries. I say it all the time. Have a plan. Have a plan, a survival plan, a plan on how to deal with these people coming through your neighborhoods. And remember, it doesn't just have to be the banner of Muslim. I mean, what if they were snatching up Indians or Buddhist or whatever out there and using them? Can't you see that they're using anyone and everyone, and they're just honing in and taking advantage of the eye for eye in this Muslim nature? So anger, not the answer here. Love truly is. For some, I know you hear it, you just can't understand how standing in front of these guys screaming peace and love isn't going to stop them. No, it's not. It's finding a way to get to the heart of it. To show them the bigger picture. That's the battle. If all these guys could be shown that the true enemy is the one funding them and backing them, just like you could go and show all the militaries across the globe that all this money is funneling down from the same war machine, they'd all just pitch their guns to the side and go home. But you see, there's always someone susceptible to the deception. And they're going to find their little groups wherever to try to pay off and run against someone else. They will continue this as long as they breathe. So as these fake Khazarian Jews operate from the shadows, just as fake as Obama claiming he's a Christian or claiming he's a Muslim, whatever they want to claim they are, they're fake. And they worship this entity. You better get to know it. That's what they make their sacrifice to. It is very real. It is of the ancient occult. They use it in their magic, in their sigils, through music, through Hollywood, through their video games, through everything. Remember, guys, it's on you to have a plan. I'll continue to update on this. More information as I come across it. I can't stress enough that what's happening here is definitely by design. And it's not just any one religion. This is the alphabet gangs controlling it. You better not forget that. Make sure to check out our recent sponsor here, Central Drugstore 2, for any of you guys that may need to stock up on any medical supplies legitimately. chose to go through these guys specifically for this reason. You guys could also save 10% by mentioning me from going through them. So, it's there if anyone needs it. Until next time, this has been Dabu7. Much love. Exactly what they've done. Anyone else want to come up with some other excuse, some BS, try and tell me who's behind this and who orchestrated this whole thing, who's paying for it and everything else? Huh? Who? I know there's other men involved here, but who are you going to try to blame it on? Hillary or Obama? Some of the lower level puppets? When there's boss hog billionaires out here that are spending $500 million, and I guarantee he's already spent more than that, in getting his army into these countries. That's what it is. Just a pure invasion here by a people that truly are running for their lives. This is orchestrated. And this is to turn people against one another and to really run the Muslims against the Christians. So you've got to see that for what it is. Hate is not the answer. I'm sorry that this is an evil world that we live in and there's wickedness all around. But the thing is this. That hate that can be churned up inside of anyone is being used. And what's happened is these so-called elites, George Soros, his minions, the guys throwing all this money, the guys with the plans, these alphabet gangs, Mossad, CIA, all the other ones involved that are creating and pushing all this on Jesuit command, which no one wants to talk about out here. All right, did I sum that up? This is deception on the people by design, okay? This isn't just Muslims coming in here. It is factions of a Muslim community that are being used, and they're honing in on the eye for an eye. You see, them knowing this, knowing that it's part of their religion, they can use that to their advantage, and that's a theater. And that there are billionaires making this happen out here. And for those that missed it, I just put out a couple videos on Dabu777. One in regards to George Soros admitting to the whole world that he's dropping $500 million to back these refugees and these migrants. You might as well call them militants. Because they're not women and kids like your mainstream tried to make you believe. These are well-groomed, brand new clothes, food, cigarettes, the whole nine, young men storming into these countries by the hundreds and thousands. And this is by design. This isn't just, we have a situation unraveling in France, and it's been nearly a year ago when these terror attacks went down inside of France, which were staged 100%, and everything else that's going on, like this invasion, it is staged. And I want to clear some things up right out the gate. And for those that want to come blasting and spewing racism and hatred, you can go ahead and unsubscribe and kick rocks. It's not tolerated around here. We use discernment to try to get down to the bottom of things and to get to the truth. And I'm sorry if some of you have been so badly damaged by the lies out there that you just can't accept the truth. This is the truth. That this is